It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Question from BikeYo. Do you recommend choosing an HSA high deductible plan when you know you will give birth in that given year?
You got some experience shares probably on this. Both of y'all do.
As someone who's giving birth, I'm actually not giving birth in this year, but my wife will be giving birth this year. It's really interesting. And a lot of people are surprised. It just comes down to mathematics, right? So when you go through open enrollment and you're looking at your different options, you have your high deductible option, and then you might have your PPO option, you might have some other option available to you. What you really need to do is go estimate what the costs are going to be for you next year. Now, in my experience, when you're going through having a baby, they tell you right in the front end, this is gonna be the total cost. Like, I got a bill at the second appointment. Here's what this is gonna cost, right? If everything goes according to plan. So you can kind of use that number, and then you figure out how much your doctor's visits, and then what's the postnatal stuff all gonna be. And you figure out, okay, if I do the high deductible plan and I save money on the premiums, but I'm having to pay more of the cost, but then I get a tax benefit from the HSA contribution, am I coming out better than if I pay more on the premium for the Cadillac plan, but I have better insurance coverage? And you literally just line those two up right next to each other, factoring in all those variables, and figure out, okay, which one is the most advantageous for my situation. And a lot of people are surprised that the election or selection you make on your health insurance might not stay the same every year. You might find yourself, okay, next year, having a baby, doing this one. Year after that, man, my family doesn't get sick at all. I don't need to do that. I can do the high deductible and I can go to the HSA. But it's something worth just not being lazy and defaulting to whatever you did last year, because it can have a significant impact on your financial situation.
I would be curious, and Reby, you can answer too. Maybe this is too personal to ask, but because I know that they do get. What's the number? What does having a baby cost these days?
Oh,
It's not too personal. Yeah. I mean, I think ours is similar, actually.
Yeah,
I feel like we've had this conversation.
I want to say all in cost was $5 or $6 grand.
Yeah, it was right in between 5 and 6.
That's your out of pocket with if you're kind of with the insurance.
Yeah, so if your deductible
a high
is
deductible
around there
plan
or lower
probably,
than that,
high deductible plans
that would probably be worth it. Yeah,
5 or 6.
So this is why this is a great question. Is this BikeYo? Is that the name?
BikeYo.
That's what it says. Yes.
So here's why this is great, because when my first child, now look, realize this first child is in college now, so this is years ago, decades ago actually. My wife worked for a Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. And I still laugh about the fact, because she had the Cadillac insurance working for a Fortune 500. Our first child cost us $10.
I want to hit you in the mouth.
Well, I know. That's what
teach us your ways.
I don't really mean that.
There's people out there that probably work for these big. This is why it is important to do the math on this decision. Is because if you have access to one of those Cadillac plans, like a Fortune 500 company sometimes does with their benefits, what I mean by that is that it was a copay. The copay was $10 for the office visit, and then they covered everything else through the Cadillac. So you can imagine, that's why BikeYo, you should do the math on this, because you can see, because a lot of these high deductible health insurance plans that like we offer, and most small businesses offer, they're really discount plans. They don't really pay for anything until you get to really catastrophic events. So when you find out that it costs $5,000, a lot of that probably is going to come from out of pocket. Whereas if you work for a big employer that offers Cadillac insurance, you really should go do the due diligence, because maybe it is a $10 decision. And you're like, whoa, it had to be a lot of insurance premium savings. And in that case, you would want to be very strategic on which plan you chose for the year.